Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. We have to talk about what just happened last night on Monday Night Football. I can't turn a blind eye and act like I didn't just see the beatdown that the San Francisco 49ers put on the New York Jets, spoiling Aaron Rodgers' debut. So many things happened in this game, and we got to talk about them all. We got a game recap. Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers spoil Aaron Rodgers' debut as they take care of the New York Jets 32-19. Looking at this football game, I think even with the score being what it was, this was a game that wasn't really as close as you look at what happened on the football field. I think even when the game was close, the San Francisco 49ers were showcasing, okay, we have a firm grasp of what we're trying to accomplish in this football game. We understand our identity. We're going to run the football. We're going to use the play action. We're going to attack with Jawan Jennings. We're going to attack with George Kittle. And we have everything going. I think early on, both offenses really started off a bit shaky, but as things started to get into a rhythm, you had Aaron Rodgers with the solid drive early, connecting with Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall runs in for a touchdown, but then the San Francisco 49ers defense clamping down. And I think looking at those tackles, even with Tyron Smith, and we know he's a Hall of Fame left tackle, Nick Bosa was giving him problems off of the edge. Then you look at the other side with Morgan Moses. You got Leonard Floyd giving him problems. You look along the interior, Malik Collins giving guys problems, and Fred Warner. Do we really have to take it there and talk about Fred Warner? He starts off the football game with a punch, forces a fumble. The San Francisco 49ers, they only get 3 out of it, but just looking at it and saying, okay, I'm going to be here today. I'm going to set the tone in the middle of the field. I am that Hall of Fame linebacker. I am that all-pro linebacker. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to eliminate the middle of the field for Aaron Rodgers. Now, I want to talk about really this offense as we get into some of the numbers for the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy on the day, 19 of 29, 231 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions either. A pretty clean football game, a solid football game. Jordan Mason, 28 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown in this football game. Jordan Mason said, okay, you know what? CMC is inactive. I'm an undrafted running back. I'm going to make my name be heard today. And this is showcasing some of the depth for Kyle Shanahan in the running back room, looking at it and saying, okay, we have a scheme. We believe our offensive line, Trent Williams, Dominic Puny, some of the guys that we're looking at, we think we got people movers and we think we got grown men. For the New York Jets, even with the defense. Now, this is why I look at this game and say I like what I saw from the San Francisco 49ers because they really had their way with a top 5 defense. You look at everything from Quinnen Williams to Quincy Williams to Sauce Gardner to DJ Reed to everybody along the defense for the New York Jets. There was just no answer. The passing game was clicking for San Fran. The run game was clicking for San Fran. And Jordan Mason was a big part of that. Just on the ground, he's making guys miss in the second level. He's hitting the gap, and there were some wide open gaps that you say, okay, this is what we scheming up, and this is what we want you to get. But as he started to heat up in the football game, he said, okay, coach, I'm going to get these 5 to 7, but I'm also break a tackle, and now I'm going to make it 11 to 12. Now I'm going to make it, okay, 15 to maybe even 17. I'm going to get these big-time runs. He had a long run of 24 yards, so just getting those constant runs, tiring down the New York Jets defense. They had no answer. Jawan Jennings, 5 receptions, 64 yards, and we know what Jawan Jennings is at this point. He's that wide receiver 3 to 4 that you're not always going to talk about, but you going to hear about him. He's going to make that big time play, that timely catch, just like in the Super Bowl. If they would have beat the Kansas City Chiefs, he had a major case to be the Super Bowl MVP. And it's just because he's going to get open. He's going to sit down in the zone. He's going to be there in the scramble drill. He does the little things and he blocks for you. In the Super Bowl, he had a passing touchdown. At this point, what can't Jawan Jennings do? But just looking at those things, man, that's what you had there. On the flip side, it wasn't too pretty for Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. 13 of 21 for Aaron Rodgers, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, I do want to add, the interception was a deflected pass. She balled it up. De'Amone Lenore, he comes down with it. That was what happened on the interception there. Breece Hall, 16 carries, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Alan Lazard, 6 receptions, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a touchdown early in the second half, and then you're looking at it. Breece Hall had the touchdown early in the first half. But like I said, just talking about the San Francisco 49ers offense, how they said, okay, we're going to play grown man football, and we're going to look at this and say, I don't think you can stop it. 28 carries is saying for me, now when we try to establish the run game, understand that we don't have Christian McCaffrey, but we got Jordan Mason, and if we can now say, let's utilize the play action off of this. Let's get their linebackers to bite down. Now you see George Kittle going across the middle. Now you see Jawan Jennings going across the middle. And even with Deebo Samuel, he had a pretty solid game as well because he had 5 receptions, 54 yards, 8 carries, 23 yards, and a touchdown to add that in there. And we know he lined up in the backfield some in this game. He took some inside zone handoffs. He caught him on a little bit of end around. So it's just utilizing him. And I think for Brandon Ayuk, only having 2 catches and 28 yards, the New York Jets understand because now if we don't have CMC, this changes the numbers a little bit. Jordan Mason, he only caught 1 pass. He's not nearly the pass catcher that Christian McCaffrey is. Like people always say, Christian McCaffrey can make a living if he was just a slot receiver. That's the type of guy you get out of the backfield with CMC. But now, okay, if we want to roll the coverage, if we want to double team Brandon Ayuk, if we want to follow Brandon Ayuk, that opens up a lot of flexibility for Robert Saleh and the defensive scheme of the New York Jets. So I think they made a concerted effort to take away Brandon Ayuk. But like we see, this team is too talented to take away one guy and think that something else isn't going to bite you coming right back behind it. So when you have Brock Purdy having a good football game, when you have Jordan Mason having a good football game, and just talking defensively for the New York Jets, I think they came out in a lot of zone coverage and it was just ineffective. You saw Brock Purdy finding guys sitting down in the zone. You saw him getting into that rhythm. Now they're danking and dunking you. They're constantly moving down the football field. And then another thing, and this is one thing I want to talk about in terms of New York, have to clean up your tackling. A lot of yards after the catch for the San Francisco 49ers. And then in the run game, Jordan Mason breaking tackles. So you have to clean up your tackling, but also the pass rush. Now you got Jermaine Johnson, dog. Quinnen Williams, dog. You got some dogs on that on the defensive line, but when you think about it, Bryce Huff is gone. John Franklin Myers is gone. A couple of guys are going along that defensive line for New York. So I think Hassan Reddick, if he gets that contract, then I think he could have been a game changer in this one. Just looking at it and saying, okay, now we already have to double team Quinnen Williams on the interior. He's that type of guy. You got some linebackers who can blitz, but I think if you add Hassan Reddick, it's just all a numbers game. How can we change up the scheme and make the offense uncomfortable? Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense was comfortable the entire game, and I think that's just a credit to Kyle Shanahan, but also a credit to we got to get our guy Hassan Reddick in here. I think he becomes your best edge rusher the day that he signs the contract. Now, looking at some of the things offensively for the New York Jets, I think it was a struggle. And the question for me with Aaron Rodgers is, at this point in his career, I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback, but let me tell you one thing. This is what I want to ask you, the viewer. Can Aaron Rodgers carry an offense still in today's league? And when I say that, now it's looking at Breece Hall, had 16 carries, 54 yards. But if you watch this game, really from the first quarter to the fourth quarter, the run game was non-existent. It was ineffective. They weren't getting big-time runs. They couldn't get anything going, no breakaways. So now, Garrett Wilson, you had to lean on him. Alan Lazard had some big-time catches in this game, and they were getting into the screen game. Like I said, looking at Nick Bosa, Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, that defensive line for the San Francisco 49ers, they also had to lean on the quick game. And we know this. They drafted Olu Fashanu in the first round, top 10 pick. You're looking at the actually top 15 pick, but you're looking at that because you need that depth. You need to continue to build along the offensive line. And looking at it in this football game, they couldn't protect Aaron Rodgers to, I would say, the standard of what you want to, because Aaron Rodgers, He's not that same mobile guy that he used to be. He's coming off of the torn Achilles, and I think he's healthy. He looked healthy in this football game, but just we have to protect him. We have to give him a run game, and then when it's time to make those throws to Garrett Wilson, when it's time to make those throws to Alan Lazard, that's when we can say, okay, Aaron, go be Aaron. I think his arms still look good, but for the most part, just the protection, trying to get the running game going. There weren't a lot of things to come along to the party and help Aaron Rodgers in this football game, and then when you look at a defense like the San Francisco 49ers, it's just going to be ugly. So like I said, you start off early. You get going with Garrett Wilson. You have Breece Hall run the football a little bit. And Lazard gets in the football game. He gets some big-time catches. But just in a general sense, I think it has to be more consistent. The New York Jets have to find an identity. And that's really the bigger question surrounding this thing. Are we going to say, Aaron, go out there and get us 4,500 passing yards at this point in his career? Are we going to say that? Or are we going to say, Breece Hall, go get us 1,300, 1,400. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, try to get me 4,000, 3,900. And I think that's the question that Nathaniel Hackett has to answer when we go into when we get further into this football season and we look at what this New York Jets team can actually be. I think they have a lot of talent, but they still have some things to figure out. And this game was really a great indication of that. Before the San Francisco 49ers, very, very good in this football game. I mean, even to the point where Garrett Wilson got going early, they said, okay, we're going to stop that. We're going to do some things and make a concerted effort to try to keep him out of the football game. And like I said, when you have Devondre Campbell, when you have the guys on this defense like they have, Travarius Ward in the back end, it's going to be a tough night. And it was a tough night for the New York Jets. I want to know what you guys think about this football game. How did you feel? What do you think about the San Francisco 49ers? I know they're still going to be an NFC contender. You got the Lions, you got the Eagles, you got the Niners, you got a lot of teams in the NFC, but I think just talking about those three really just coming straight to my mind. So we know what that's going to be. Now, when we look at the AFC East, Jets, Bills, Dolphins, Patriots. And I think really in terms of the Dolphins and the Bills, you're looking at it and saying, you know what, New York Jets? What are your chances in this division? I don't want to overreact. It is week 1, but I think just looking at this football game, there's still some work to be done. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always. After this point, we're coming with some all-22 film. I got some very good football players that I want to break down. We got a lot of film that we're going to dive into. Also, drop down below. Are there players that you want to see film breakdowns on? Are there teams that you want to see film breakdowns on? I'm trying my best to satisfy the viewer. So let's do it. Let's do this thing together, man. It's time for the NFL season, and we're about to head into week 2. That's going to do it for today. And now, yeah.